Welcome everyone to the March 2024 Evergreen Cataloging Interest Group. My name is Jennifer Weston and I'm facilitator of this fine group. Looks like we have a few new people with us here today, so it's nice to see you. With that, I will do my formal introduction to the interest group today. So on behalf of the organizing committee, whose names are listed at the top of the agenda as always, we welcome you, and many of us are here today. The agenda that you have will turn into the formal notes for this meeting, so we will take notes as we go along. It's already been posted on the wiki, and the recording will be posted on the wiki within a few days. I say that and just realized today that I did not post last month's recording, so I will post both of those when I post them later this week. Today we don't have a very formal presentation. I thought we would just take time because I did have to reschedule from last week, and thank you to those of you that made adjustments to meet this week instead so that we could do that. But as we were rescheduling, I thought it would be very nice to talk about bug squashing since bug squashing is going on this week. So I am going to very briefly go through our standing agenda items, recognizing there's no formal presentation, but then we'll get started looking at some bug squashing things. And you know what? It can just be bug squashing, bug related stuff in general. We don't have to spend our whole time on bug squashing. Though if we finish early, that's certainly fine too. So just a few quick updates, or just to note that there aren't updates in a few places there. I'll just skip over some of these. The wiki's there. It's always a work in progress. I have had a couple of inquiries about perhaps helping out with that, so thank you so very much. I will get back to you after this call. February was extremely busy for me, as it is, I'm sure, for everyone, not to make excuses, but just to say that I have recognized your inquiries, and I will follow up with you later this week if you're here today. Release notes, there have not been any since we met last month, but we have some. That's what bug squashing's a week now, right? So bug squashing this week is working towards 313, but I've always leave the links here for the current release notes. February being the last release that we had. And actually I need to update those release status now, what release we're on. But anyway, moving along, our community demo servers are on 312. So if you're curious about what's going on in 312, you do have access to a community demo server. Bug Squashing Week doesn't necessarily use that demo server, as we'll look at here in a moment. But there is a roadmap already for 313, so thank you to the release team that is working on those. If any of you are here today, we'll say thank you in person. Otherwise, we always put that just out into the cosmos to say thanks. I do like to pause for a moment before we get into bug squashing to ask if there are any updates on your versions. Where are you? So if there have been any of you at your libraries have updated to a new version, upgraded in the last month or two, and if you want to update that list, please feel free to. Everyone should have access to edit this document, so you're all welcome to just make your own notes there. So we like to celebrate as you're upgrading and hear how things are going. Let's see, who was planning to upgrade when we were last together? Pines, you should have upgraded in February. So anybody here want to talk about how that went? We'll give you a moment to do so. Anybody else? We did fall, November, October, December. Kenton County's just getting settled into 311 a few months later.
Can you hear me? This is Catherine from Owl.
Hi, Catherine. Yes, we can hear you.
Yep, and we went to 311 at the end of the year, I think.
How's it going?
Pretty well.
Good, good.
And I hear we're getting a bump up pretty soon.
That's always fun. Bump up meaning just a point release,
Yes.
meaning you're going from 311 to
Whatever.
something to 311, something else. Yep.
Mhm.
Fantastic. Thanks, Catherine. Oh, and Rosie, you're here from UPI. Thank you for joining us. And thanks for the note that you're getting ready to upgrade. That's a huge jump from you from 3.8 to 312.
Yeah,
So
not as big as some of the jumps that I saw in this sheet, but
that's true. That's true. We're here for you every month if you want to talk about it. Oh, and in between times. And Rosie, I know that you're not new to Evergreen, but you're new joining us here recently. So for those of us that were working with Mackenzie at UPI, Rosie is now joining us from UPI. So we're going to continue to talk with them. And I'm just thrilled that you're joining us today, Rosie.
Great, thank you. Yeah, Mackenzie did a lot of work with the Evergreen community, so I'm really glad for that.
He did, especially with authorities. So we miss him, but we're so glad to have you. Again, not to misrepresent, Rosie's not new to Evergreen and UPI. She's just new to joining us, or new to joining us again, as it were. Okay, let's see what else we have going on. Susan says, oh, that's from Pines, that you did upgrade and it went very smoothly. And you upgraded from 310, so there weren't huge changes. That's good to hear. So repeating that Pines went from 310 to 312. Skagit's been currently on 310.4. You're going to upgrade in April. Fantastic. Missouri Evergreen did go from 3.9 to 3.11. That's right, in February. Kate, how's that going?
Everything seemed to go really smoothly. No big uproars about anything, and everything went fine.
Fabulous. Good to hear. Have I missed anybody else that just updated? I don't think so. But if so, I will go back through chat and make sure we've got everybody represented here. All right, skipping right ahead. The community calendar, I know that Hackfest is coming. Well, the conference is coming up, and I probably skipped over that as an announcement, but conference is next month. Yay. I think we've talked about that the last few times we were together, so it's not a huge announcement. But if not, here's your link. If you haven't registered yet, it's not too late because it is an online conference. And the conference will be April 22nd through the 24th. We will meet on the Hackfest day, which is the 25th. It's the day after the conference, and we'll meet online that day. I've got a note at the end of the agenda there about our time. I believe it's 12:30 that we'll be meeting online then. But not only will our interest group be meeting, a lot of the interest groups are going to be meeting on that day, the Hackfest day, which if you have been involved in the community for a while, Hackfest traditionally has been primarily for dev work and dig for the documentation work. This year, because the online conference is reduced to by one full day, one of the things we decided to do was take the interest groups and move them over to the Hackfest day so that we'd have more time as interest groups instead of competing for times for presentations during those full days of the conference. So we've got just scheduled times, and those will be coming out by the end of the week about when the times are for each of them. So I've got Hackfest, that's what that is. Any of this that I have misrepresented, please let me know, or please make changes on here for any of the other interest groups that you may be involved in. Many of us are involved with our sibling interest groups. So I want to make sure that anything that is not correct on here gets updated because the notes are published to the wiki. So I made a note on the interest groups that I know are meeting. And I believe new devs will probably join in the regular the Dev Hackfest activities will not be meeting officially, but they've already planned to meet in April. Outreach will meet again before the conference, I believe, on the 3rd. Couple of notes here. Authorities. I have a poll ready to go out, and just forgive me, I'm going to take a moment to talk to people that are involved in some of these others, but our Evergreen cataloging organizing committee, I've got a poll ready to send out to you as soon as this call's over so that we can schedule that. Some of us are also then involved in the not the acquisitions, oh my goodness, no, the authorities working group. So I also have a poll ready to send out for that so that we will be able to announce the authorities working group schedule relatively soon. So we've had watch for announcements for a few months now, so we are going to move that forward this month. Rosie asked a question. I like all the interest groups. Well, yes, we do. Is there sort of user group where I can ask naive questions? You can always ask your questions with this group. There is not a circulation group yet. There is a circulation interest group that meets annually at the conference, and they will again be meeting this year. Only they'll be part of the regular presentations. So circulation, like I said, that's if you want to join that presentation time during the conference. But again, there's just this general listserv that goes out to just the general Evergreen discussion list. It's always a fine place to ask naive questions. If you'd rather send it to a smaller group of people like us that are friendly and always willing in the cataloging interest group to take all kinds of questions, and you will get responses rather quickly from this group, I would encourage you to do so. So yeah, Rosie, use us as your home base, and if that doesn't work, then we'll point you in the right direction. Jonathan asked a question, what does the authorities group do? My snark answer will not be join us and you'll find out. But the authorities working group is working very much on defining how authorities work in Evergreen, how they are supposed to work in any ILS, aside from, being how they functionally work within the Evergreen product. But what we have been spending most of our time doing in the last year, and we just really started meeting in earnest last year, was documenting how this works. And starting at the beginning, if you don't know anything about authorities, what are your questions? And we've been entertaining questions from the authorities working group. And so that we've been starting putting together documentation, starting even with just terminology, and then working through what are the things that we know need to be addressed. So, here are the things, and here's how it's supposed to look. Here's documenting the way that looks, and then documenting anything we find that needs to be sent back to the community for discussion and about things that we feel like need improvement. It's a long question to say that we're trying to tackle all things authorities, but do it in a very methodic way so that we've got a lot of history from discussions in this group and beyond for the last few years, and we're trying to bring that back together to focus it so that when somebody asks that question, what does authorities group do, that we have something to point them to that is a documentation asset that we can all share. Hope that helps a little, Jonathan. And if anybody's interested in being included in those planning emails, let me know. Otherwise, we will publish our notes about when the meetings are for coming up. They're very much working group meetings. It's not like this one where sometimes I just talk for 15 or 20 minutes. This is we just get together and we decide what we need to work on and we start working on it. Okay, thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for the question. Anything else about any of these other interest groups that we want to talk about? I did make a note. The permissions working group is also a relatively new one. They will also be meeting during Hackfest. I did make a note that the student success group is going to have an opportunity to come together during Hackfest. Jennifer Pringle's going to try to reconvene that one and get it working again because it's been rather dormant for a while. So if you're interested in the student success group, please look for the time when that's going to meet to join her. And then we will officially add that back to our list after the conference to see how that goes. I mentioned kind of briefly the circulation interest group is not one that meets regularly, but it will be meeting during the conference. So that's the reason it's not listed here, is it's just an annual meeting to talk about circulation issues. There's been some interest in starting a circulation interest group and even some conversations after last year's conference. So that may be something that's coming together soon. I shouldn't say soon. I shouldn't promise that, but that may be something that's coming together. If you know of anybody that might be interested in that, your colleagues, or even those of us that kind of put our toes in ways in all the things, then it's certainly something we want to encourage and participate in the circulation interest group. If you can't attend it at the conference, just let the organizers know you're interested. Okay, enough about interest groups then, if we don't have any more questions. Quick little notes there about authorities bid frame. There's been no movement on that. I expect there will be coming up in the second quarter. So look for an update there. Okay, so in here links to the Launchpad bugs. That's a standing item on our agenda. These are quick links. If you've worked with bugs at all on Launchpad, these are things that will take you immediately to bugs that are tagged with being new and cataloging, just cataloging. There are 302 of them. Just staff catalog, and then cataloging plus needs discussion, and we're down to just 10 of those now. So it just takes you over to Launchpad, but these are quick links, so you don't have to put in the filters every time. And we still have 9 catalog blockers, which we've talked about a few times off and on last year. That number has come down under double digits now, so we're down to single digits, which is fabulous. But I hadn't really planned on talking about any of those in particular today, but if there is any interest in any of those, please let me know. Okay, so bug squashing week. I know there are. I'm looking at who's here. Is there anybody here who is not familiar with what that phrase, what this activity is, bug squashing? Don't be shy about saying yes, because it just means I will approach how we get started a little differently. I did just drop the text from Taryn's email in here when we got started from yesterday when she started the conversation about bug squashing this week. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just look at these patches that are out there and we'll walk through a few of these together. That may not take our whole time here together. So I've got, in addition to that, one of the other things we do during bug squashing is it just reminds us that it's time to look at bugs. So we've got quite a few bugs that need to be confirmed that we may be able to do as a group here. So I've got those listed too. Also then just to finish what is on this agenda, I said we talk about highlights from recent releases. I pulled out from the release notes, and a very big thank you to Andrea, who always makes sure that we have very good release notes to see what's going on in the point releases and the full feature releases too. So I've pulled out highlights for those. So if anybody wants to look at those while we're together, we certainly can too. But I did want to make sure we highlighted some of those. I don't intend to read through that list, but we can address those as we need to. or as you want to. So let's look at what's going on the list this month. I gave it, to be very honest, a very quick look today, but I haven't done any testing yet. Anybody else done any testing you want to talk about before I just randomly choose one of these to look at? If I randomly choose, I'm just going to let you know that I'm going to randomly choose this Angular Holdings Editor about changing the call number fields and item templates. But it is a random choice. So if anybody would rather look at anything else, now's your time. Okay, so we're testing together. Let's take a look at the bug first. I need to be logged into Terran's test server over here in a moment, but let's take a look at the bug and see what's going on here. This is from Michelle, who originally reported this one back in 2023. This is how I start. I always like to see who reported it and how long it's been there. This one points us back to our previous bug. They restored the ability to save all call number attributes and item templates. That was good news. The individual values, prefix, suffix, label class should be stored only if they're changed by the user saving the template. I think we can all agree on that. So let's see what the original bug was. Again, this is just an exercise in group review of bugs, but the original is allow call number attributes and item templates were gone. So this was originally fixed, and she told us what it was. This originally released back last December. At that point, we regained, or we now had the ability to save most, as it turns out, call number attributes in the item templates. And this was released in 3.12. So if you're not yet on 3.12, you may not have seen that at all. So let's see what's going on with this one. Again, Michelle gave us a branch. Thank you. We want call number fields. So what we're looking at is we want to save all call number attributes, so prefix, suffix, label class, when we save the template. And then we just had a nice little description there. So let's log in. So we want prefix, suffix, label class on templates. Let me ask this question, and I don't necessarily want to open a can of worms, but I may. If you're saving a template, are you now doing it through the admin version, or are you doing it by going into an item and saving your templates that way?
I personally always go through the admin. I don't trust it the other way.
Okay. Very fair. Catherine says item. Catherine says admin. Maggie says item. Madison says item. So we'll do it both ways because we need to test this both ways, don't we? Oh, we have a nice mix of admin and item. Haha. So we will definitely test this both ways. And our login is admin demo 123. Okay. Servers yet for Bug Squashing Week, you will be prompted to do exactly what I'm doing. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to do admin first, I suppose. Templates, templates, templates. Oh, wrong admin, Jennifer. My eyes are not working today.
Well, this is making me happy.
Well, I'm glad that I can't find anything that's making you happy. Where did it go?
Is it
Admin,
holding template elder?
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's it.
It's really been that kind of day. Here we are. Okay, so we want to save prefix, suffix. Okay, you know what I'm seeing right away? Is it my eyes again? Am I also missing prefix, suffix on this form? I'm not seeing them. No, Andrea confirms I am not. So that's a thing. We'll make a note about that being a thing. So let's go through item instead, shall we? Who is it that uses Ready Player One? Because I've started doing that.
That's my favorite one.
Thank you, Mary. I've been stealing your secret all along. Okay, Will says you add prefix suffix in the holdings editor in the record. Yeah, yeah, Will. So let's see what we've got here. And just because I really, really like to see all this at the same time, I'm going to turn on unified, but that's my own personal preference. Okay, so now what we want to do is I'm going to just create something really quickly. It's a biography. Why not? Anyway, I don't really need to do all that. I just want to see what gets saved otherwise. So I'm going to give it at least a shelving location. It's good enough for this. And actually, let's not confuse it. All right, so I also want to now see if I save my suffix and prefix. Okay, so we have prefix, suffix, call number label. Okay, let's see if it saves classification too while we're there, and I need a barcode. All right, let's save my template. Might as well save my while I'm here. Okay, so that's done. So now if we go to add holdings again, and I'm going to use a new barcode. If I apply my template, testing prefix,
Oh, it worked.
look at that. Woohoo! Prefix, suffix. It did not save my label. I got prefix, suffix. Shall we try it again?
What didn't it save?
I had saved the call number label to say bug squashing week test. So let's try it again.
I don't know why you'd want a call number,
Well, I guess, yeah,
but maybe, I don't know.
maybe. Okay, I'm gonna click on all these again because I'm just old school in the way I used to do these. But okay, I'm gonna just change those out. All right, so I changed the prefix, the suffix, the call number, the barcode. It doesn't matter. Okay, so let's save that template again. Call number is pulled from okay, Will tells us the call number is pulled from the O2 in the record. True. And NC Cardinal, it pulls from 092 050. Okay, sure. See, I'm wondering if this is supposed to override that because you can override it, of course, when you're adding your own items. I'm going to go back to results and choose a different one of these real quick.
Jennifer, I think I recall from our research in this area that, well, first of all, Jessica and Will are correct. It's pulling it from whatever mark field is configured, and I think it's a global flag. But I do not think that templates currently have the ability to apply call numbers.
Okay.
Period. But I'm pretty sure that is what we arrived at when we were looking into this.
Okay. Yep. And
So that would be outside of the scope of this particular bug fix, I think.
Okay, so let's see what she was saying. So label class, label class, that's different than label, isn't it? But label class, I'm wondering, Michelle is not with us today. Is label class just a terminology that I don't typically
She might
use?
be meaning label class to mean call number label.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Yeah, I'm seeing the others, just classification number.
maybe she means classification.
Classification.
There, yeah.
And it did save Dewey, so maybe that's what she means. So we just need to clarify that. So we are seeing the behavior that it saves classification, it saves prefix, it saves suffix. And I see lots of notes in the chat here. So yeah, so we can confirm that that works. If you get to the holdings editor through an item. not through the admin. And Andrea, you were saying that that's a known thing. And I think it's been known to us too. We keep talking about, or at least I do, that they're out of sync. Probably the worst description of it, but the ones that we do in item. And I don't know if we want to, at this point, that's the way it is. I know that we provide a lot of feedback as a group.
No. We're getting ready to try to propose to bring them in sync. Don't worry.
Yeah, see, I wasn't going to say that, but you did. So do you want to say
It'll be
more
it'll be
about
set in
that?
sync. It'll be a boy band festival. It'll be great.
Woohoo! Bringing NSYNC back, I suppose. Okay, so good for us. Yay, we've tested something too. This is lovely. Did it, Jim? Yeah. And I don't think I saved that one correct. Okay, I did. It's fine. Okay, all set. So let's go back and just say, we'll say works in the holdings editor, access via item record. Just making a note about what we found there. And then we'll sign off on it later. And then I'll also say confirming we see template saves classification, prefix, and suffix. Anything else we want to say about our testing? I'm just going to test it one more time because I just think this is fun. Maggie wants to know, is this a fix in the updated Evergreen coming out? Andrea, I think that's for you.
This one that we're looking at, or
No,
the one that I was talking about?
well, I'll answer the first part, then you answer the next one. Maggie, this one is, it's Bug Squashing Week. So I guess neither of them are released yet. So back to you, Andrea. This is Bug Squashing Week. So it's both for
The short
you.
answer is that this one is now that we have signed off on it, this one is a candidate for merge. If it passes, the rest of the tests and someone merges it, whether it goes into the main or just main branch or gets backported to other early releases is going to be a decision of who commits it. What I was talking about, our proposal for the unifying the admin template editor and the holdings template editor is a proposal that we are writing for CW Mars. So that is potentially in the future, but not anywhere near going to be ready for the next release, since at this point it is just at the investigation stage. So I just mentioned it because we have been up to our eyeballs in template editor lately. So I was able to answer Jennifer's questions more quickly. I hope that clears it up.
Yeah, Carol said thanks too. From CW Mars.
Yes, and anybody who's CW Mars listening, you will be receiving that proposal very shortly, as soon as it gets final approval over here. So we're very excited.
Great. They were just talking about it at our meeting that made me late.
It was well worth it. Carol, do you want to say anything else about that's coming? Because I know that you have been very involved in that spec and working with Andrea too.
I missed most of the conversation, so I don't know what was covered. I just got in like a minute ago.
Great. That's okay. We were testing some things with the holdings editor about saving the call number the prefix and suffix, which led us to even more conversations about things that'll be coming.
Well, we like prefix and suffix too.
Well, we just tested it works now in the bug squashing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Note to Tricia, she said, I thought templates only save the stuff below the templates bar. Well, that was true until this testing that we just did. So that's very true in any version that you may have now outside of what we're looking at bug squashing week, Tricia. But she's very happy, so I'll share that too. So thanks to Michelle Morgan, who identified this and posted it. So again, if anybody has not worked with this bug squashing week tracking sheet, as much as I would love to put in here that we have successfully tested it, I guess there's one last thing we need to do, and there is a way to put your notes in there that say that you signed off on it. So I never remember the exact language.
It's I name. Oh yeah, you got it. Never
Yeah.
mind.
Well, I thought I had it. There it is. I have tested, blah, 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 blah. There we are. So let's do that for this one. Nope, that's not that one. I clicked off of it a little too early. So the last step, if you're testing bug squashing, is you put your note in there, and then I will. And I got that language from the bug squashing wiki page. My name. And I'll say we all did this. And y'all get to watch me type my email address. This is great fun. Okay. And we changed the, do I change this too? Tags? I don't know. Let's go back and act like I don't know. And I'm using this as a test, as a
You had signed
demo.
off to the. Yeah.
Signed off. Okay. So then we go up to our tags. And so you just start typing until you find the one you want. You click in the tags box where all the other tags are. And now we're signed off on it. And we contributed to Bug Squashing Week. So it was well worth coming together. Thank you all. So let's get out of that one. Now, I did take a look at the item status for Fresh One. I don't think this is one we're going to be able to test together. And let me look at why. The testing instructions sometimes will be posted to a different document. And Jane has put together, I know this is really small, but has put together a document for us on how to test this one. And it starts with create a file with 500 or more item barcodes. So while I am more than happy to do that on my own time, I didn't think we would do that during this particular call today to put, unless somebody just happens to have a file of 500 or more barcodes you want to test on. But this bug is just addressing how slow things can get if you've got a really long list that you're putting into item status and you're wanting to change all the items at once. Something, change a particular item attribute about all of them at once. Andrea says she can get us a file in a minute or two. Okay, thank you, Andrea. We'll move on from this while you're.
What? Remind me what server that one's on. Is it Darren?
It's Taryn's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, so we'll move on and look at the next one. The TCN trailing spaces allow a dupe record import. I think this is just fixing kind of a loophole to dupes that have been out there. Tiffany with us today. No, Tiffany is part of our organizing committee too. This is if you're, and again, I don't have an example to use here. And oftentimes things for bug squashing just do require us to do things like put together a file that creates the exact situation we need to be in. So this one says if you have a TC in the incoming record that has a trailing space, so you're just not able to, your eyes don't go to that immediately, but it can create a duplicate. So that's good to know that this sort of thing is out there and may have been happening all along, and now there's a fix for it. And again, I don't have a file put together with a TCN, a trailing space there. Has anybody seen this happen in the world and just wondered why you were getting duplicates? This might be why. All right, what else do we have? We have, I always look at things not just cataloging. Okay, emergency closing handler. Pop over on the patron bill screen. Trying to think things that are more related to cataloging. Staff catalog number of shelving locations is confusing. True. All right, course materials. Anybody working with course materials? This one's ready to pending install, which I really wanted to demo today because I've spent a bit of time on course materials in the last year or so, but I wanted to see what was going on there. I would say let's watch for that if you're using course materials. All right, so let's go on to the next server. Cataloging. Hold stalling should capture equivalent items at targeted library. All right, let's read a little more about that one. Also reported by Michelle a couple of years ago. In the org unit setting, circ hold stalling soft is set. It's very much a holds thing at this moment. If a copy is on the pull list of the library different than the pickup library, only that exact item will be captured for the hold. To make the best use of staff time and fill holds more efficiently, equivalent copies at the pull list library should also be captured for the hold. There's been a whole discussion about that about 3.5 years ago. This one's been going on for a while. I'm going to scroll to the bottom and read the last note first. Equivalent copies do indeed get captured when a self-stalling interval is set. Do we feel strongly about this as catalogers? I certainly don't mind testing, but about which ones get picked up. It does have a cataloging, does it? It's got cert codes and cert request. It's showing up as cataloging, but is this something that we would necessarily see? Not, I'm going to go on, and we can come back to this one if we want to test it. I don't want to say this org unit setting, things like this is the reason we have test servers. We can go in and just change such org unit settings. But again, since it does have to do with holds, I'm going to say that's not directly related to cataloging enough for us to put that above other things we might want to test. And we have serials. Oh, heavens no. I'm going to skip that one too. Z3950 search. Aha. We occasionally get null results when use perm in use. So let's see what's going on with that one. This has only been around since last November. When searching Z3950 sources, search results come back empty when they should have results. I too have encountered this. Somewhat random. Lots of information about why that might be happening. Some debugging. Thank you, Josh. Steps to reproduce. Okay, we can come back and do all of that. Working branch. We've got people doing some alternative things. Okay. All righty, so shall we test it? And we're getting a lot in the back and forth there with the developers. Again, as catalogers, we can only do what we can do through the interface itself. So let's do this particular thing. And with your permission, I'm going to pull this over here to the other side of the screen, and we're going to have 2 or more users with different, oh, see, I don't know that I have 2 or more users with different Z3950 use permissions. It sounds like a lot to me to be able to set up. Anybody working with Z3950 use permissions in the cataloging world? Yeah, I don't know. Maggie says, I don't know what that is. No, fair enough. This means that, Z3950, you have to, like for OCLC, you have to put in your credentials to be able
Jennifer, I
to.
just sent you that file, by the way,
Okay, thanks.
in Slack if you want to go
Okay.
get your 500 barcodes.
Right. Let me move Slack out of the way here over to my other screen. Thank you. Yeah, so let's I think a large part, and I think this is actually, this particular one is a good one for us to look at together as a group, because often in our testing we go through, you get so far and you think, okay, I want to contribute to this, but I don't know what this means. 100% a fair thing to say, either to Taryn directly or to put out on the listserv, say, I'd love to test, but what is this thing? Melissa added a note here. They use Z3950 with OCLC. And yes, I do think that's what the use permission means, is you have to put in your credentials. So if you have, not everybody can go to OCLC and just connect, right? You have to have an account to be able to do that. And on the Z3950 screen itself, yeah, so if we got that here, so that's one of the things when you set up OCLC in the admin side as a Z3950 target, it says, yes, I'm required to have a username and password. So that's what that means. Okay. And I am now looking for let's go back to the one that Andrea so kindly given us a full list of these to test. Okay. So reminding us that the thing we're testing here is the fact that if we have a really, really, really long list of items, it's just, and I agree that this is a good description, it can get confusingly slow, meaning it doesn't refresh itself for us to be able to see what's going on. So we just start on the item status screen.
So just it might take a minute to upload the file because I noticed that the test server was a little bit slow when I was pulling it out. It's probably getting a lot of activity. And of
Sure.
course, test servers are under-resourced in general.
Always.
But just, we might have to bar watch for a couple of minutes is all. While it loads that file of 500.
We can just have a nice quiet time for a little bit here. All right, create a file, load your file into item status. So I need to take this file that you just provided and download. Where'd you go? Okie dokie. Why can't I down Slack as being mean? How do I get this file out of there? I can open it, Slack. Slack doesn't like me, Andrea. So can I either give you screen sharing or can you email it to me?
I will email it. Stand
Thank
by.
you. Thank you, thank you. I really have had an unusual day with tech today.
I would say technology just sort of hates you in general today, I think.
It does. I'm just glad my mic's working now. So, take the wins where you can get them. All right. Everybody just having a little quiet moment. While we're doing that, has anybody gone through any of the other lists and things that you might want to look at today? Or I have is Elizabeth with us today? No, I'll skip that. I got a note from Janet Schrader about a particular book she wanted us to look at, but I can't find it. So while we're waiting, it's this book about bug items that can be added even if the code is false. Anybody can help me find that particular bug? I'll be glad to look at it and add notes. And she just wanted to draw attention to it so we could add heat to it. All right, and I have Andrew's email. Thank you very much. Download this one. That actually worked. Thank you. All right, I just have it on my desktop now. So let's go back. Item status. Choose a file, which is now on my desktop, called 500 Concerto barcodes. Has to be a TXT file. And we wait. And we hum.
You know, that's going faster than I would expect. I'm actually kind of impressed.
Yeah, it's not bad at all, really. And Madison's found the bug for us. Thank you, Madison. Which I'm just looking at while I remove this my other screen. Oops. Drop that in our notes. We are multitasking like ninjas here today. There we go. Let's get rid of that screen because that's what's confusing me. There we go. 60% through. So after we do that, we load it, we select a few rows, we go to Actions, Edit Items, make some changes, time how long it takes between clicking Save and Exit and when the grid actually refreshes. And she wants us to do that a few times. And we're so close. So close. I don't remember the last time I tried 500. I usually stop at 200. So this is actually, I'm loving that we're going to be able to do this. So I'm just going to randomly check quite a few of these. And I want to, nope, they're item out. So I'm just going to change show me location to I'll be reference because why not? All right, let's see how long that takes. Ooh, wow. It came back pretty quickly. Only my location didn't get updated on the screen. Do we expect it to be updated on the screen? Maybe that's why it's
No, it
confusingly slow.
regenerates those lines, I think. I thought it, or
We'll
maybe
give it
I'm
a minute
thinking of a
and see
different
if it
bug.
refreshes. Yeah, I see your note, Maggie. It should. And again, maybe this is the confusingly slow part. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I'm going to be patient, not click on anything for another minute. Well, another 30 seconds or so. I'm going to read Jane's notes one more time, though. How long it takes clicking save and refresh and when it actually refreshes. We're a minute in. Okay, so it took about a minute. How do we feel? Not altogether, that's not too bad. Shall we try something else? So let's change that. I'd like to do this time is see more of these. So I can choose enough that I can see on the same screen, but further down the list. I like call number this time. Okay. So I do like that you can do, there's one of the examples of why you might want to batch update call numbers. We can do that all at once. Kind of a cool thing to do. Now, let's see. Call number. We're waiting. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've got my timer set on my phone now, so let's see. And this is exciting. Anybody see this changes? I looked down. Nope, it hasn't changed yet. We were about 15 seconds in at that point. So let's see. If nothing else, we know how long it takes, and it is possible. I'm going to go back and read the bug and see how quickly we feel like this new fix and recognizing it is a test server. This might be the oddest reason I've ever had to. Yeah, scroll through. Thank you, Chrissy. I did need to scroll down and wait for them to be refreshed. Okay, so right at a minute. As I was saying, that was probably the oddest time I've ever had to just fill for time was, all right, so 58 seconds for that one. And here we get to see those. Okay. And let's see. So we did call numbers, repeat steps. This time should be much faster with the commit. No columns lose their data, especially monograph parts and in-house use. Okay, well then, let's see. You get the saved icon immediately, true, and the item saved toast in the right-hand corner too. It's not until a few seconds later the grid refreshes. Do we feel like this is because the server's just still a little slower because 58 seconds is still 58, 59 seconds still seems like a lot to me, but it's fair to say it's because it's on a test server.
Yeah, you
Let's
might
see,
put the
Tricia,
results of your
you've been doing
testing in
huge
there.
numbers of edits, so you've been doing them in smaller batches, no more than 40 at a time, and it happens much faster than this. Okay. Yeah, 40 at a
You
time
might,
certainly happens much faster. Again, I usually say 200 has been my go-to just cut off there. So if we can do 500. Alrighty. We see how far this went back. I guess it's fair. Okay, for me, works 10 times faster than the old version did. Okay, John did some testing way back when. Our notes again in 2019. Galen suggested another way of going about it. I know I'm scrolling really quickly. I'm just trying to see where this. All right, so that's 2021. 1.5 seconds, really. 100 plus barcodes. All right, well, I guess we can put our results in here. Maggie says if you edit all 500 items at once, it's slower than if you selected out of the 500. I don't know. That's a good question. And we're coming up close to the time. I don't mind just clicking that off and then trying to do, oops, let's change. I can change at least 100 of them at once since I have 100 pulled up. And of course, just getting that to open for us is way too long. Oh, I don't want to add items. Oh my goodness, that's going to take way too long. Yes, I did choose add. Thanks, Madison. I think we're going to be here a while for that one, don't you? There we go. I just got to. Yep. All right. Well, let's do the edit this time. I have to scroll all the way down to the bottom to be able to get here. So I'm going to make everything easy reader this time instead. And let's see. It'll be our last test of this. Maggie says, worst is selecting replace barcode by accident and having to cancel it 100 times. Thank you, Maggie. You made me feel better. Yes, that is the worst. Maybe it's just in the wrong place. I mean, I joke about that, but yeah, I think it would be helpful if this replace barcode lived somewhere that you couldn't click on it accidentally so easily. All right, so timer off again, changing the location. Nope, doesn't look like it's going to go any faster. Doing all 100 at a time. All right, so I've made a note about checking out that replace barcode thing because goodness gracious, that one really does cause issues. All right, well, I think in general, what do you think? Thank you, Maggie. About a note about not finding the holdings editor. Sorry, my eyes just don't go to the right place sometimes, but yep, that's what we're here for. We're, kind of also a support group in addition to an interest group, I believe. All right, we're still waiting on this. And you know what? 50 seconds that time, so it was a little bit quicker. I did have a timer on. 50 seconds, a little bit quicker than doing just a handful, but I think we can just say that's due to load on the test server. So what I'll do is not at the moment because I want us to be able to wrap up on time is I'll just make a note about we, had the 50 seconds for 100 and then the 58 or 59 seconds when we just did a handful, that this is what our results were. And if we're comfortable with that being the test server, that's okay. We can say we tested it at least. And then we'll see if anybody else does. We can test it at different times. Just reading your chat notes. Had trouble finding the template editor because we were looking for item template. Yes, not holdings template. That's a very fair question. And let me also ask this then as a way to wrap up and make recommendations from this group. When we were doing that, and let me go back and find this one more time. Holdings template editor. I was looking for item template editor, or even in the server admin, there's mark template, which is another thing entirely. Okay, so item template is what we have here. The whole item versus holding thing has been driving us crazy for years. Item, I believe, is where we settled on after a while, but this might be one of those holdovers. So holdings template editor, if we go back to, do I have the holdings editor? It clearly says holdings editor on the top of the screen. It makes sense that this says holdings template editor here. So is this just something we have to get used to? I guess because it's consistent between what this screen is called and what it's called on the local admin. But I'm with you. The item thing is exactly what I was looking for. But we have item alert suppression, item alerts, but it's not really item template editor. All right, I'm going to let it go. Rosie says it does include some stuff that's in the call number, so it's not an item template precisely. On the bug squash document, it said item templates. See, Christy, this is why we continue to have confusion. You're right. It does very well say item status. Oh, that's Angular Holdings editor and item templates right there. Just because we continue to have this. Madison copy still hanging around. Talking to the choir, Madison. Copy is still hanging around in many places. Okay, so item templates, but that's because that's the way Michelle wrote it originally. But in general, I think holdings was intended to replace, yeah, Andrea's note holdings was intended to replace volume. But yes, I think that, Rosie, you probably gave me the best description there. It's not really just the item template, it is holdings. So I just need to learn that. And I can't make a strong argument that this should be item template because it really is a little more than that. And it matches the screen. So, okay, one less thing for me to put there. Okay, and now Andrew's used the word interstitial, and I'm going to move on. That's fine.
It's not strictly
We could just
speaking
name it something else
interstitial.
entirely. Cataloging templates.
An
No, that's different.
intermediary, an in
Now,
between.
see, that's a rabbit hole.
It's something in
Smart templates
between.
are different. Alrighty, if there are, and not to say this because Madison raised a good point, this copy that's hanging around, I believe we've done, others have done at different times some pretty thorough looks back through all the different modules and the different screens. If you find something that still says copy, you feel like we should move those. And Andrea's right, there has been a significant effort to clean that up. But if you're finding some that are still lingering, please check and see if there's a bug, or just send a note to the cataloging interest group, and we can all help check to see if there's a bug about this because we do want to clean up anything that's handing over from copy. Holdings editor will leave alone because it's technically correct. Okay. As we're wrapping up here then, thank you for humoring me today and being here a week later to do some bug squashing week stuff. I hope it was helpful for anybody who's not particularly been involved in bug squashing before. Those of you that are, I appreciate your experience. Two last things I do want to say is if on Janet's behalf, she sent me a note. She's our retired, if you're not, I think most of us know Janet, but was on the organizing committee. She's retired and she still joins us from time to time. But she sent this note out asking for people to add heat to it. If you would, this is essentially the purpose of this is to try to keep people from adding items to electronic records. So if you have an e-record in there for an ebook, e-audio, that sort of thing. So that's kind of what's going on here. So she's just asking to add heat to that one. So I have done that. I do just want to call your attention if you are looking for new things that are coming out for catalogers that you can look forward to as you are upgrading to either a point release, like example 3.10.4, 3.11.4, these things will be there. Everything in 3.10.4 should have been propagated to 3.11 and beyond. And again, if you're looking forward to 3.12, Andrea's wonderful notes are there from the release team on things that you can looking forward in 3.12. And I just copied off the headings there. So I did want to make sure we highlight those as we're all together. Now, we will not meet again until Hackfest, which will be Thursday, April the 25th. It's not going to be on this channel. It'll be a different, well, this is Zoom, but it will be on a different Zoom link. So I'll make sure that you have that one. The information will be there on the conference website too. And again, by the end of the week. So just make a note that we are meeting at 12:30 Eastern on Thursday, April the 25th. It'll be an extended time. We'll have an hour and a half to meet. I will send around a note by the end of this month so that we can put together some discussion items for that particular day. Since it is in connection with the conference, we'll of course want to talk about anything that sparked our interest during the conference. But in addition to that, we'll have a little extra time. Anything else anybody else wanted to cover? Bugs that you wanted to highlight? You can go ahead and drop those in chat. I'm going to stop the recording, but we'll stick around for a while,
This is
for another
Mary.
10 minutes or so, for anybody that has anything else they want to talk about.
Hi, this is Mary.
I'll turn this off. Thank you all so very much, and I'll see you in April.